No, I'm being very frank about it. That the short list that we have that's 5 players long. I feel like we're going to carry that for the next week up until the draft day, and because we don't. I don't expect there's going to be a broad consensus in every corner of the organization of who to take. And also, there is always late information the week of the draft, so you just have to be prepared for alternatives in case there's something that moves the needle. So I don't think we're going to really get much closer to narrowing things until the day of the draft.
How does the decision-making process at this point kind of compare to where you were at this point in 2019 or even the past 2 years?
It's a longer list of players in 2019. I think realistically, we went into that draft with 3 and then some dark horsey kind of stuff, but it was really 3 guys that I felt like had a real chance 9 days out or whatever we are right now. So it's just it's a little more a deeper list this year.
Like, you've been having on position players in recent drafts. Is there maybe prioritize grabbing a pitcher? I mean, is that, or is it the best player available as far as what fits into your system?
Well, yeah, it's always until you get real late in the draft. It's our impression of who the best player available is. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, but at the time of the draft, using all the info that we can, picking the player that we want to take from a talent standpoint, regardless of position. There's no pitcher in consideration for the number 1 pick. I think the whole industry sees it that way. So, but at the 33rd pick could very well be a pitcher. I just don't know.
Mike, you're going to make the pick, but are you looking to get a consensus among your think tank?
It's rare to have every single person that has a voice in it agree on who the player should be. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen that in a room that I've been in. But we'll have somebody that everyone's happy with. I think there's enough consensus around how good these players are that I can't imagine there will be too many frowns about it in our scouting department or in our analytics department or whatever when we make the pick.
On another subject, are you surprised by how well the team's playing?
I don't get surprised about baseball. I think I'm very happy. I'm very encouraged by it. I'm very proud of our players, and I credit them and the major league coaches with not the results of these games, but the style of play and the effort level that I think we're all seeing that is hard to do on a night in, night out basis at the major league level. And I think this group deserves a lot of credit for that. There's half the season left. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we've got rough patches in store for us. But I am very, globally speaking, in my appraisal, I think this organization is in a very healthy spot. And a lot of that is the players and the way that they're playing up here at the major league level right now. And then obviously having an excellent group of minor league prospects behind them. And then also just what I see with how our front office and scouting groups and player development groups are going about things. I think that we're in store for a lot of good stuff here in the next few years, and I'm very happy that it's kind of reflected right now during this stretch of play so plainly for our fans.
Mike, has this stretch changed the conversations you're having in regards to trades and the trade deadline?
First of all, it's kind of with this late draft. It slows down. It seems like the past couple of years, it slows down the industry's attention on the trade deadline. But I think that in this job, everything that I do or that we do has trade-offs, and all I can say is we do everything from a very global, very thoughtful perspective about what is the right thing to do for the health of the Orioles franchise. And all that's being taken into consideration for the draft, but also, for the trade deadline coming up. And I don't know what's going to happen. I just, what I'm saying is we're taking a look at everything as we make these decisions, and we'll see what happens.
Is there any concern that if you do move some key veterans in that clubhouse, would it deflate or change anything about the feeling, the good feelings that's going on right now?
I think what I just said, we take everything into account. There's always trade-offs with things that you do or you don't do, and I take the supervision of our baseball operations very seriously and very deliberately, and we have to ultimately do things or don't do things, and there's a lot that gets poured into the ultimate decisions that we make.
Mike, let's get back to the draft for a second, and I'll ask the dreaded underslot question here. You didn't do it in 19 with Adley. You did it presumably anyway in 2021. You had other guys went through. You have what, 5 of the first 81, 6 of the first 107. So that would lead, you would think, to maybe that possibility. But you also have the number 1 spot. What are your thoughts? Is this draft for you, the way it lines up, something that would lean more towards an underslot, or do you see the number 1 as the number 1, and that's where you're going to go as far as Mike's concerned?
I've happened to be a part of a lot of top 5 picks because of being in the Orioles rebuild and the Astros rebuild. And this was also coincided with this new CBA, or the 2012 CBA, where they created the draft pool system. And we definitely, we've done well, but we haven't always hit the picks perfectly. But one thing that we have done is not give much of an indication of what we're going to do. And it's with the way that the system's set up, that's beneficial. So I'm being as plain as I can be about that. But part of it is we don't know what we're going to do yet. Our field scouts are trickling in. We don't have the whole group here. As I said, it's until you get into the draft room and just get it all together, get it up on the screen. Let's pull this video up. Let's run the numbers on this. It's just, we're not there yet. So I don't know. We do have a gigantic draft pool. I believe it's the number 2 draft pool in Major League history. It's like 18 or 19 million dollars. The number 1 one was the 2015 Astros draft that we were a part of, where we took Bregman and Kyle Tucker. So this is an enormous opportunity. It's a big financial commitment. We're going to have a lot of possibilities because of the picks that we have, and the finances, and the way the system works with the overage tax, and I just don't know that, but we're going to try to extract the maximum possible value from this entire draft.
And incredibly, this is your 5th time dealing with the 1-1. Did you learn anything those other 4 times that you can put into this, or is it just all individual different situations?
Oh yeah. We've definitely learned, and it's a process thing. Things that you want to make sure you check off. We continue to learn from everything that we do. At least, I think so in this line of work. And it is a heck of a thing, picking 1-1. It's I don't really like doing it for a couple reasons, but it's very different than being even the number 2 pick of the draft for the player. It's a different experience for the player. I think that gets lost sometimes, and it's just a big, weighty decision.
You guys haven't taken a high schooler in some of these top rounds. Obviously, this draft has a lot of high school talent. Just seeing how kind of Gunners develop, seeing how Kobe's developed in a few years, and just with the expansion of data of some of these younger guys, do you feel reassured if it is high school, or that you guys could go with that?
Listen, I loved taking high school hitters. We don't do it left and right, willy-nilly, but I think that we look back on the drafts that Sig and I have been big parts of here, or with the Astros. It's a pretty good group of high school hitters. So, We've got some in the mix at the top. I'm sure there'll be some in the 33 to whatever the next pick, 42 range is, that we'll like, and we'll see if they get there. Beyond that, I mean, a couple of years ago, we took Darryl Hernandez in the 5th round, and but they start becoming less signable as the draft goes along, and they kind of fall off the board just because they end up going to college with the money dwindling as the draft goes along. So it's usually your first couple of picks where it happens.
Mike, your position player situation right now is very vibrant in the organization. Do you hope to come out of this draft with a deeper bed of pitching ultimately?
Maybe. I think draft picks are very valuable opportunities for the Baltimore Orioles in particular, being kind of the market size that we are, and being a scouting and player development oriented organization. And this is a homegrown team out here basically right now, or a lot of the core players are, and we want to do really well with each of these picks. That's my foremost concern, is having the value of these picks show up on the field one day and have the players go out and play well in the minor leagues. So whether that's a pitcher or hitter, I don't know. It just depends on what happens in the draft. We're obviously cognizant of the need to have good pitchers to go with our good hitters, and I think there are myriad avenues for bringing those pitchers in. It's something I've touched on before, but it's not something that we're going to lose sight of. But it's also not something that we're going to force the use of our draft picks on. Is I think what I'm saying.
Like, we see Kjerstad and,
Go ahead, Brian. You go first.
can we see Kjerstad and Aberdeen next week?
Well, that's something that we, as decide when the off days roll around. But this Delmarva debut of his has gone probably as well as it possibly could have gone, and it's good that he's feeling healthy, obviously, and I don't think we're going to leave him there all year.
As your experience, and you talked about learning about picking 1-1, has it led you to believe that whoever you settle on should be the absolute #1 ranked player that the Orioles believe in, or is it impossible for the dollars not to impact the decision?
We take the player that we want to take, and that we want to start our draft with, and that we feel is going to kick off the maximization of the draft class. Beyond detail beyond that, it is something that I don't feel like is in the interest of the organization for me to reveal, especially this week. But rest assured that we are going into any high pick that we have with the goal of maximizing the output of that pick itself.
Mike, do you feel like Karen Vavra, Jordan Westford, Gunnar Henderson, and DL Hall are in terms of pushing for opportunities up here?
They're playing really well in AAA. That's you start pushing for opportunities when you do that. I think DL is on the roster. He's kind of been in pro ball longer, and he's going through some more speed bumps in AAA than the other guys have so far. But he's also been there a lot longer. But anybody who's playing as well or is as talented as the 4 of those guys are, it could happen at any moment.